Hi guys, and welcome to today's session. So I'm going to be working on a little eye study. So I've actually done some of these sorts of things in drawing, or I've been sort of looked at making studies in graphite or charcoal of different features of the face. But I don't think I've ever done them in paint. I thought it would be a good exercise for you guys because it works well as a little isolated exercise to learn about drawing features and forms, because you're not sort of worrying about the relationship between all the different features. And so in paint, it's also a really good idea because you can start to look at color and you can do a little bit of modeling of sort of tones of the face without being kind of swamped by all the different things going on. So you can use pretty much any brush. It's just a little sketch. I'm going to be gradually introducing colors, starting just with burnt umber. So I'm going to take a little bit of burnt umber and some mineral spirits. And I'm going to use that just to start mapping out very loosely where I want the eye to go. So this is going to be my top lid. If you're not at all familiar with kind of drawing features, I recommend going back into the archive of videos that I've got on here and watch some of the drawing videos, so you sort of have an idea of how to approach the overall forms. But basically what I've got here is this is the eyebrow, which extends a little bit further than the corner of the eye. This is the top lid, and then we're going to just put a little bit of a note in for where the bottom lid's going to sit. And then a little bit of a wash in for the pupil. And starting to model a little bit how the brow. So you basically have the brow wraps down. So this is the eyebrow. Brow wraps down, cuts into the crease that's formed because the top lid folds back, and then we've got the bottom of the top lid sitting here. And the eyeball itself sits in behind, so it's not just this that we're looking at, this pupil and iris. The eyeball actually sits deeper into that socket, so we're seeing a bit of the eyeball sort of protruding down here and also up here. So that's what's filling that space. So it gives it a little bit more kind of modeling up there and there. It doesn't just sort of end at the visible part of the eye. And I'll just make a little bit of a note for sort of where the bottom of the cheek goes. And we're going to we'll keep sort of half of this panel free, so we could maybe do a lip study or something. Today we're just doing this. So that's looking pretty good. I want to now pick up a little bit more colour. So I've got Cad Yellow and Cad Red. We're going to start trying to block in some different colours here and there. So maybe some colours that I think might work for different notes. Yeah, that's not too bad for that little darker crease. Same sort of colour wrapping up there, up near the brow. A little bit of black for the eyebrow itself. It's a good idea. We're going to do sort of two days on each of these. So I'm going to let this dry. So I'm not going to get all the detail in today. You can do them as single studies, but for the sake of making them a little bit less intense for students, it's always good to kind of break it up, I find. So that's looking all right. I'm going to just take a smaller brush now, and I'm going to take some of that black And we're going to use this brush just to start to describe a little bit more precisely the shape of the lid. And then in this case, that's sort of extending to the fact that she's got eyelashes. Well, everyone's got eyelashes, but they're fairly prominent, her eyelashes. So that's then gonna loop up here, and we've got the bottom lid, which I'm not gonna kind of fully outline in black, but I wanna just get the shape of it in place. Yes, that's looking all right. And I want to give a bit more thickness to the lid and the lashes. And then also use the black to I'm doing a little bit of a wash down because you always get this sort of reflected light bouncing back up into irises, so I'll try to suggest that a little bit at this stage. The pupil itself will be darker. And the tops is going to be a little bit darker. So something like that's not too bad for the iris and the pupil, so that's good. Now I'm going to clean that brush off a little bit and start to patch in some lighter tones. So colour-wise, these aren't too bad, possibly a little bit too dark, so I'm just going to take a little bit more white than I had been using. It's probably a little bit too pinkish, but better value-wise. And at this stage, I'm just kind of loosely blocking this stuff in. It's not too big a deal if it's like slightly off shape or color-wise, because we're going to have time to correct that in the second session, which is, as I say, why when you're working on yours, try not to get too stressed about it being perfect. The main thing is that today we just want to get something down. I'm going to go a little bit darker with my tone going into that crease. And we're going to put some sort of heavier shadow creases in near the end. At the moment, we're just trying to get these colours blocked in. I'm going to put a little bit of a pink colour here behind the dark light for the eyelid, because the eyelid itself has thickness. So we're actually looking down a little bit at the top of the eyelid. It's not just like a kind of flat line where it meets the eye. It actually the skin itself is somewhat thick, so we see a little bit of that protruding out. And again, we want to take a bit of white to start to get this highlight in the underlid. And as I say, we're not going to get the colours, the tones completely perfectly right in this pass, but we want to get something down. And especially when you're working over white, you'll find until you've sort of covered that white over with something, it's going to interfere a little bit with your judgment about values, which is why we often use a sort of tone panel to start, but it's good to practice both ways. Often you'll only have like an untoned piece to hand, so I like to do a mixture just so that people kind of don't always have to feel like they have to have something completely toned up ready to paint with. So just patching these colours generally in around. And we'll stop it about there for this eye study. Not painting, but we'll stop the the edge of the study relative to the reference, and we'll go about here. So we've sort of encapsulated the entire socket with that much painted in. And yes, that's starting to look a bit better now. You can see how much of a difference it makes actually getting all those little details in versus before I put them in. So I'm going to take a little bit of burnt umber now, just pure burnt umber, and we want to put things like this crease. So I'm going to take just a little bit more black, reshape the top lid slightly here. And put a little bit of a suggestion of the lashes. We can again develop them a bit more precisely next time, but she has quite prominent lashes, so I want to get a little hint of them in today. These lower ones as well. You can see it comes together, you know, without too much hassle, this kind of study. Especially with, as I say, that the fact we're going to be coming back to it, working on it more next time. We're getting to a point where we can leave this. I'm going to take a little bit of black and white mixed together just to make up a grey. I want to get the shadow, so that the top lid casts the shadow down on the white of the eye. So you get this sort of soft penumbra. I'm actually going to just get a little bit of pink and white. I'm going to lift the bottom lid slightly so it's touching closer to that iris. You can see how loosely we can do all that sort of stuff. Don't be too constricted with it. And put a touch more red, a stronger red, just into the tear duct there in the corner of the eye. Rinse all that out and try to pick up the last of my whiter paint. Running out a little bit. And get the lighter part of the eye in place. Gonna have to just squeeze up a touch more. White paint, and I'll brush a little bit more of a wipe off and clean. And I want to take some pure white paint. We want to put a little highlight into the eye. And just a little bit more light, pure white into the white of the eye. As well. Yeah, and that sort of brings it to life just at this stage. We're going to be doing more next week, so developing it more, but that's our sort of starting point of it all. But a tiny little bit of a brighter pinks through the top lid as well. yeah, we'll leave it at that for today. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed that little demo, found it useful. Have a go at it yourself. I put the link to the reference in the comment or the description of the video. And check out next week's video. So if you subscribe, you'll get a notification about it, but watch next week to see how we develop this. It's obviously just kind of roughed in, and we'll be tweaking it next week and then doing some more little feature studies like this. So just working in oils. Put the materials list in the description as well, and hopefully you guys enjoy it. If you have any questions, post them as comments below. And yeah, as always, follow us on YouTube. Just click the like button, and if you want to find out more about our paid qualifications and courses, you can click the link through to our website and have a look there. So yeah, that's it for today, and I'll see you guys soon.